Sportscast November 19th. Welcome to another week. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, Periscope, iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. And if you're in iTunes, please leave a rating and review. It will help us out tremendously. College football. What a weekend. Week 12 was kind of up and down. We saw Alabama and Tua not end well, but they won the game, but Tua got injured. But a lot going on in college football. The numbers are changing, the placements are changing, the seeds are changing. And to join us to talk to us a little bit about college football and the NBA, the one and only Caillou Borden. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Caillou, what a weekend in college sports, obviously in sports in general. Let's start off with Alabama. Obviously, Tua got carted off this past weekend, and then Alabama did win the game against Mississippi State. But how significant is this for Alabama and for Tua?
I think it's very huge because it was a major storyline. And there's a lot of questions like if he should have played against Mississippi State. I think he shouldn't have played. A lot of people are saying it's like a second guessing. I think they would have beat Mississippi State as we know anyway. I think Mac Jones, they would have used a different creative way to beat them anyway. But I think that Alabama, I think they're seriously in jeopardy of whether or not they make the college football playoffs because the top four seeds are LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson. So I think that there's a lot of debate if they would get in. I don't think right now they would get in if it stays the same, but still there's a lot of weeks to be played. But I think that they shouldn't have played Tua. He was obviously very hobbled with the ankle, and you just made it worse by putting him in a game. And then Nick Saban said it was the 2-minute drill. I understand you're trying to work on some things, but if the committee doesn't believe in you enough, playing Mississippi State and beating them in the style points is not going to do any more to help your playoff chances. So I just don't understand why he was in the game at that standpoint. If people are saying, well, you shouldn't take him out of halftime, but you see it plenty of times where they play one half or they play a thing and then you have the backup. And I don't think you learn more from Bama about playing Mississippi State. If they were going to get in, their chances doesn't get more. Their chances doesn't get better by playing Mississippi State in the committee's eyes. I don't think.
Yes, the rankings. The committee comes out with the third poll of the year tonight, and there's a lot of speculation. Some people are saying that Alabama might be in the top four. And then there's also speculation LSU might not be number one because they let at Ole Miss scored 38 points, even though they scored 58 points. But Caillou, if you were a committee member tonight, who would your top four be?
If I was a committee member, LSU and Ohio State would be up for debate, but I still would go with LSU because even though they had a bad week. And defensively, they didn't look as strong, but Joe Burrow continues his thing. I would reward them that strong head-to-head resume. They do have a strong head-to-head resume over Ohio State. So I still think, in my eyes, I think Ohio State's the best team. But you're going based off of who they play. They have they have a better resume. LSU. They have the quality win over Bama. Texas doesn't look as good as it did, but they still have those wins. So I would go LSU at 1. Even though I think Ohio State's a more complete team, I would go LSU at number 1. I would go Ohio State at 2. I would go Clemson at 3. And I would give the 4th spot to Georgia. And I would also open up the possibility that the committee may go Oregon in that route. So I would open that up. I could see that as a major thing between Oregon and Georgia. But I think right now Georgia gets it. But I still don't rule out Oregon getting it. But I want to see where Bama is. I'll be watching for mostly. I think the 4 spots will be, as I said, LSU, Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State. But I'll be watching for how does the committee feel about Alabama? Do they stay 5? Do they bump Oregon up? What do they think about Utah? And also, how much does Oklahoma go up, considering that 25-point win? Do they go up? How long do they go up? And is it a possibility that they can still make the college football playoffs?
The complete surprise I think most people were talking about most of the season before this weekend was that Clemson ain't worth it. Ain't worth to be in the top 4. But things are panning out for them. I mean, they beat Wake Forest 52-3, and looking at the other variables like Alabama and everyone else, Clemson is sitting pretty. I mean, do you think if they win now, they're going to be the top 4?
I think they're going to have to because the ACC is not the strongest conference, and I would get on Clemson about this. And what does the committee really value? Do you value resume? Is it last year's achievement award? Are you giving a history award to Nick Saban? Or are you going based off last year's championship, which was really, really impressive? But if you're looking at this year, I mean, they don't play anyone, but, I mean, you have to go there undefeated. You have to respect that. So, I mean, I think they're a lot to get in as long as they win out. They're not going to play a formidable championship opponent in ACC in Charlotte, but I think they're a lot to get in because they're undefeated, and you're probably going to have one-loss team in the top four. So I think if they go undefeated and they have no hiccups and they think, but if they don't win by the margin, we could possibly see it open up to Oregon. If they have enough close to a slip-up like they did against North Carolina and almost lose that game, then I think it gets more up for discussion. But if they continue to win 52-3 against Wake Forest and opponents like that in the ACC, I don't think it's a conversation. I think LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson is basically a lock. I think obviously there's still a lot of weeks to play, but I think if considering that Ohio State has a big matchup against Penn State coming up this week, I think those three spots are close to a lock at this point.
Oklahoma beat won this past weekend. They beat Baylor 34-31. What are Oklahoma's chances to get into the top four? I know they were 10th last week. Minnesota lost, so that could push them up to 9th at worst. What are Oklahoma's chances?
I think Oklahoma needs Ohio State to beat Penn State. I think that would help Oklahoma. I think tonight I could see Oklahoma actually a slight go up to 8, and then with the possibility of they're gonna have to jump Bama. I think with the backup quarterback, it depends how the committee feels about Matt Jones and where do they place them. But I think Oklahoma could actually go up as high as 8, maybe 7 tonight, because with the Minnesota loss, I think not having Tua, I think Matt Jones is in play. And also, if you just put them behind one, I think they're better than Utah. I think if you put them behind Oregon or one of those teams, and depending on where they put Bama. So I think Oklahoma can actually go up to 7 or 8 with the Minnesota thing. Penn State still has to play Ohio State, so you have that next week. And as long as Ohio State handles their business, which I think they will, I think you could see Oklahoma go up to 8. And then with the possibility of depending on what happens in the Pac-12, I think you can see Oklahoma maybe go up to 6, and it depends on really. I think it depends on where they place Bama and really how they feel about the Pac-12 teams. But I don't think Oklahoma's chances are dead yet. But I think tonight is going to go a long way. Where I think I'll be watching for where do they place Bama and how do they feel about the Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, looking at the top 4 right now, and of course, like what you were saying, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia. I don't see 2 SEC teams finishing off for the last poll, making it to the playoffs. I think, of course, whoever wins the SEC championship between LSU and Georgia, I think, now thinking about it, what if LSU loses in the SEC championship? Are they completely out of the playoffs?
I don't think so. I think it would depend. I think it would depend on a lot of factors. Obviously, how they look at that point, what's the thing. But I think overall resume, if we're going based off their resume, it depends. Like, if they get blown out, like if they get the coverage blown out, I still think they deserve to get in because assuming that they win out between now and then, they would only have 1 loss. So I still think they would deserve to get in, and they have been one of the most complete teams, if not the best team in college football with Ohio State all year. So I think they still deserve to get in. But, if they get blown out, I still think they deserve to get in, like I said. And I think if it's a close game, I think it's a no-brainer. I think they're obviously one of the best 2 teams in college football. So I think they really deserve to get them based on their resume and based on what they have accomplished so far.
Minnesota, who were undefeated before this weekend, lost against Iowa 23-19. Were you expected that Minnesota was going to lose this game?
I did not think they would lose, but it's a Big Ten. I mean, Morgan, 25 for 36, 368 yards, 1 touchdown. I didn't expect them to lose, but basically for Minnesota, this ends the slight chance that they have maybe getting a college football playoffs. So I didn't expect them to lose this game, but this really puts a damp and doesn't do it for them. So I think that they won't have that outside chance of making the college football playoffs. So, but I still think that they're doing a lot in Minnesota. They're 6-1 in conference, 9-1 overall. So obviously, hopefully they can get they'll still be able to get a major bowl game. But I was very surprised by this result. I expect them to actually win this game.
Georgia beat Auburn 21-14. Auburn just lost by a one score touchdown, but Georgia's still better.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I was surprised. I think people like that Auburn, obviously Bam was hoping that Auburn was going to be a win for them because, it would help their resume and they still haven't heard a game against Auburn. But I was, with Georgia, it's, Jake Fromm is up and down to me. 13 for 20, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's the SEC. Swift ran for a good game, 17 carries, 106 yards. But, it really lies on Jake Fromm. He's really a lot for me inconsistent. He had a 21 QBR, which is not always the greatest. That's a little flawed. But I think that he's up and down. And for me, it's going to depend on him because I think a lot of it is on him. I think a lot of it sometimes he's a little up and down for my liking.
One thing we definitely have to look at is Oregon. Oregon is definitely sitting pretty. Probably going to face Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. What does Oregon need to do to get into the playoffs?
I think Oregon just I think Oregon just need to creep closer. I think when I think about top football in the rankings, if you're in the 4 to 7 and you creep up and you have one loss, I think for Oregon it's just to continue to stay focused, win those games, win by an impressive margin when you're facing lesser teams, and also win that Pac-12 championship game. And if you 6 that night on the afternoon on Sunday when you're having pizza, if you're in that 6 range, I think they have a chance. I think they just need to continue to have those impressive wins, win the Pac-12 championship game, and I think they'll be right in that conversation. Georgia doesn't have any margin for error with the one loss. Oregon doesn't either. So I think they'll be in a conversation. Bama obviously took a huge hit with Tua not being there for maybe even 2020. They took a hit. So you're definitely going to be in that conversation. And if it's between them, Oklahoma possibly, and I think they win the Pac-12 championship game, they'll definitely be in that conversation along with Georgia.
Yeah, definitely tonight at 7 p.m. on ESPN, the College Football Playoff Committee will decide the new rankings. Things are getting closer. Things are getting a little bit wilder. I'm looking at the Big Ten, Kylie. I think Big Ten is going to be a little bit of a splash. Noticing Ohio State's schedule, they play Michigan, and then they play Penn State, or it's like vice versa. Can Ohio State beat Michigan, and can they beat Penn State?
I think Ohio State will beat Penn State. I obviously want that to happen to help Oklahoma obviously further up the bowl. I think they'll beat Michigan. Michigan's a rival. You can't take them for granted. So I think they'll beat them. I think Ryan Day will have his team prepared to rivalry games, so I think he'll have them prepared. And I think Penn State, they'll win a close game. It won't be as impressive as playing Rutgers, of course, because Rutgers isn't any good. They haven't been good for a while now. So I think Michigan will end up being a close game just simply because it's a rivalry game. I think they'll be hugely tested in both games, but I think Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins will pull it out in a close one.
Yeah, looking at the standings, Ohio State and Penn State are in the running for the Big Ten East. The Big West is looking like Minnesota will be. So Minnesota most likely will be in the Big Ten championship. So the Big Ten is always a very challenging conference, same as the SEC. But this year, I think the SEC has the tip when it comes to possibly seeing 2 SEC teams in the college football playoffs. We'll see how things are going to be unraveling. Of course, if Georgia loses, I don't think they'll be in the top 4, sending a way for Oregon to get into that last spot. I think between the Pac-12, Caillou, and the Big Ten, the Pac-12 and the Big 12, I think the Pac-12 has the advantage.
Agreed.
Looking into the NBA, a lot going on. As predicted, Lakers are number 1 in the West. In the East, you see the Celtics as number 1. Dead last is the Warriors. The Rockets are surprising a lot of people. Not too many people, but things are kind of are really gelling between James Harden and Westbrook as expected. What are your thoughts about so far with the season?
About the Rockets?
No, like the NBA season as a whole.
I think I've been very impressed with the Celtics. Obviously, no Kyrie, and I think I've been very impressed. Kemba's been a tremendous leader. They're 11-2. I think I've been very impressed with them. They're 7-1 in conference. They're 5-0 at home. I've been very impressed with them. Gordon Hayward. A lot of people, I felt like they weren't patient with him last year. He was coming off the broken leg. A national television game. He broke his leg against LeBron. He comes back the following year. You have the Kyrie stuff. Is he going to stay? Is he not going to stay? So you have that situation. I think he's been better Of course, you're better after a broken leg. I think a lot of people say he wasn't worth his contract. I think it took him time to like get used to it. I think it took him time with Brad Stevens. I feel like he's rushing the starting lineup, but he's obviously playing better. I feel like Jalen Brown took a really huge step forward this year. The Bucks have been great. They don't have Chris Middleton. He's going to be out for a while, but Giannis is still Giannis. He's been great. The Miami Heat, I don't think they'll stay the thing, but they've been great defensively so far. Toronto's been really impressive. Siakam's taken that step from a role player. He's going to make the All-Star team this year. He's been really good. You still have the veterans there. Fred VanVleet still playing well off the bench. Ibaka's been great. Marcus Gasol's been solid. So I think Toronto still has the veteran part. Siakam's took that next step forward from last year in the finals with Kawhi Leonard. It really helped playing with him. The Sixers are going to be great in the regular season. They will struggle in the playoffs until Ben Simmons at least attempts his jumper. I think they'll move up in the standings. The Pacers are injured right now. Victor Oladipo, Miles Turner, they are just holding it together right now. And the rest of the Eastern Conference up for grabs. I think the Nets will make the playoffs. Right now they're struggling. They're still trying to figure out Kyrie, what they're going to do with that. So I think that's going to take them a little bit to figure out. But I think they'll win around 43, 45 games in the Eastern Conference. Let's switch gears to the Western Conference. The Lakers have been tremendous. They haven't played the greatest schedule in the world, but LeBron is battle tested. He's been through the war in the playoffs. Dwight Howard has a lot of experience in the playoffs. So I don't really worry about strength of schedule with veterans, and they've been there, they've done it. I only really worry about that with young players that haven't been in the finals, they haven't been in the playoffs. That would concern me if, that happened. But the Lakers have been great defensively. Anthony Davis is as advertised. He's been great. Dwight Howard's really surprised me. I made a joke that he'd be cut by January if it doesn't work out. He's been great. Got to give him his credit when it's due. He's been great. The offensive rebounds, he's really putting himself. He's changed his thing. He's admitted that he had a bad night in his first stint in L.A. The Lakers are 11-2, 7-1 at home, 4-1 on the road, 9-1 overall. The Rockets have been great. I think I've said it. A lot of people are surprised. I said the Rockets are going to be great in the regular season. James Harden and Russell Westbrook can put up eye-popping numbers. However, in the playoffs, Russell Westbrook still struggling from the floor shooting jumpers, still struggling from the free throw. I think that's a cause of concern. And I also think the Rockets don't defend. So in the playoffs, if you're facing the Clippers and the Lakers, you don't defend. I think there's still a lot of time thing, but they don't have the greatest defensive team. I like P.J. Tucker defensively, but those two guys, Harden and Russell Westbrook, even though you're going to score a lot, if you're giving up a lot of points in the regular season, I think that they're not going to have enough defensively in the playoffs. I think they're going to be great in the regular season. They might win a round depending on the matchup. There's still a lot of time to be played. This is free thing, but I think they'll struggle defensively. Denver was my surprise team. I think they're really good. They're coached really well. The Clippers are going to be great. Kawhi Leonard, they have a fabulous bench. Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell. The Mavericks, I had them as my lead pass team of the year. They're great. Luka Doncic is going to be in the MVP conversation as soon as next year. He's terrific. 42 points last night. I think he's definitely going to be in the conversation to make the All-Star game. And I definitely think as soon as next year he can be an MVP candidate. The Jazz are really good. I think Quinn Snyder, obviously I think the addition of Mike Conley's really helped Donovan Mitchell from sharing playing responsibilities. I don't think that he has to handle the ball as much. I think that's really good. And another team that's really surprised me in early going is Phoenix. You see what coaching does in that situation. It's very early, 12 games, but I think Monty Williams has done a terrific job with Devin Booker. He was always talented, but those talented points are turning into wins. And that's obviously some questions that people had about Devin Booker. They were, he was scoring a lot of points, but they weren't impact points because they weren't winning games and they weren't defending. I think he has them buying in so far to culture, and you can see what coaching does in that situation. I'm also surprised with the Timberwolves. Andrew Wiggins, I got him a lot, that he doesn't play hard a lot. It doesn't always look like appear that he wants to play. But this year so far, he's doing a really good job in early going with that. Sacramento, for everybody that wanted to fire Luke Walton in the beginning of the season, sometimes you got to give coaches a chance. He's had some pretty impressive wins. He didn't have Fox. He's missing Marvin Bagley for a stretch. He's been great. The Memphis Grizzlies are really fun to watch with John Morant. And the Thunder have been really impressive defensively. Chris Paul's playing well. He's not the Chris Paul that he once was, but he's playing well. And I've been really not shocked. A lot of people are saying it with Portland. Obviously, picking up Carmelo Anthony is going to do some scoring for you. He can give you a couple buckets every now and then. but Damian Lillard's not playing tonight against Pelicans. And I think that Portland's really going to continue to struggle. They lost Mo Harkless last year and Alfred Camino, they're not really good players, but they're role players in the Portland system. They really relied on them for defense. I think Portland took a step back defensively. Carmelo Anthony is going to help with that. He'll give you some points, but I don't think it's going to overset their defense. And I think that San Antonio rounding out has really struggled this year, but I think they'll be around 500 this year.
So far, your Lakers, they're number one in the West. Are you feeling comfortable with them so far?
I think I've been very impressed with the Lakers. I think LeBron is LeBron. I think that a lot of people made such a thing, and I said it last year, like Kawhi Leonard had a great finals, but he also caught some breaks, and that's not anything against him because I hate the thing the Kawhi Leonard caught a couple breaks last year with the Kevin Durant injury, Clay, and also I think people forgot how good LeBron was because, like he even said, even when he came back from injury last year, people expected him to make the playoffs. And he even said it. He came out and said, like, last year, even when he came back, he wasn't the same player. And I've been really impressed with him. I don't think he'll lead the league in assists, but like I said, I think he'll be top 5. I want the split between Anthony Davis and LeBron usage rates together being close to, I think it's around 50% now. I want it close to 45. I think that Kuzma's done a really good job coming off the injury at the beginning of the season. I think he's done a good job. Danny Green's helped us with his veteran defense. Dwight Howard. He's on a revenge tour. I've joked about it. I want Dwight Howard to be gone by January because I was just a little salty about his first stint in L.A. He's done a terrific job. Got him, give him his credit. JaVale McGee has done a really good job with the first unit. He was struggling at the beginning of the season, but he's played better of late. So that, Quinn Cook, I still think our bench needs to add one more piece or two, but it's still plenty of time. It's very early. Our defense has been great. Anthony Davis has been as advertised. Avery Bradley and those guys, they've been really setting its own. I think Frank Vogel's done a tremendous job early in the season at getting these guys to buy in. It hasn't been the strongest schedule, but again, they're veterans. I think Frank Vogel's done a terrific job at getting those guys to like buy in to the culture early. So I think that's helped as well.
Carmelo Anthony is going to the Blazers. Caillou, what role will he play, and will this be a big impact for Portland?
I think Portland is struggling, so I think defensively, I think that Carmelo Anthony is not going to be able to bring it. He doesn't really think. I think Carmelo Anthony's going to have a couple good games for you, but Portland's struggling right now. Portland's struggling. Obviously, they lost to Harkless and Amino. They weren't great players, but they were great role players. And for Portland, they obviously rely on their backcourt a lot. C.J. McCollum's also a struggling start this year. Damian Lillard's not playing. He's been playing great, but he's been a one-man show this year. He has a high usage rate. I think Carmelo Anthony's going to be capable of getting you points every now and then, but I don't think he's going to be very efficient. I think he's going to have a couple great games, but I think defensively you're really going to struggle. I think he'll get you a couple nice games. You'll have a couple great moments. Hoodie Melo, I made the joke on Twitter earlier. I think he'll have a couple 20-point games. I don't think he's going to be incredibly efficient, and I think they're really going to take a hit defensively, in which we already struggle defensively. But I think Portland needs it. They need a jolt. They're 5-9. It's only 14 games, but you're 12th in the West. You have the Lakers, the Rockets, Nuggets, Clippers. You're going to be facing the uphill battle all year. It's the Western Conference. I think, why not? Hey, give it a shot. You're 5-9. You need a jolt. You don't have Damian Lillard tonight. T.J. McConnell's really struggling. You're not getting much. Portland never gets production in their front court. They're always very backcourt heavy in the Western Conference, which most teams are. But Portland doesn't get a lot of production from their swingmen, even their wings. So I think why not give it a shot for Portland? Maybe you find lightning in a bottle from Carmelo Anthony. Maybe you get maybe you get a week or two from him in which he gives you a couple nice games. So I think for Portland, it's like, why not? I expect him to have a couple 20-point games, not be incredibly efficient, really struggle. Portland continues to struggle defensively. But for Portland, they're not going to get a talent like this. It's tough for Portland to get a talent like this. So I think he can help them offensively in a couple games. But I don't really expect him to change Portland drastically.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony, the last team he was with was with the Houston Rockets, got cut by Houston. Now he's back. He's a little bit past his prime a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how much he's in shape, and hopefully it's optimistic for the Portland Trailblazers, who sits at 12th, just like what Caillou says. That's not normal for Portland to be there. And looking at the West, the Mavericks, you haven't seen them in the top 10 in a while, so good to see the Mavericks back at it. And, of course, in the East, Miami Heat, big surprise. Butler is definitely gelling. He loves Miami, and he's making things happen with the young players, so there's optimism there. So, anyways, Caillou, ready for some game predictions?
Sure.
Let's go into Arkansas at LSU.
I think LSU will continue to roll. I don't think they will have a hiccup here, and I think they'll win by considerable margin.
Penn State at Ohio State.
I think this is going to be, like I said, I think Ohio State's going to win this game, but I think it's going to be very close. Both teams are very familiar with one another. It's a conference game, but I still think that Ohio State wins this game.
Texas A&M at Georgia.
Georgia, even though Texas A&M is 7-3, I think Georgia needs to continue to roll. And I actually think that they need to put up a couple stop points because depending on what the committee sees tonight with Oregon, I think if Oregon wins the Pac-12 and they possibly win the championship game, Georgia needs to start putting together some stop points. It's not really Georgia-like, but I think they need to start doing it just to show the committee, look, we're going to be fighting for that last spot with Georgia, Oregon. So I think they definitely need to start to just increase their odds to get in.
As you said, Oregon at Arizona State at the Desert.
Oregon.
TCU at Oklahoma.
I think Oklahoma wins this game. TCU is 5-5. I think Oklahoma needs to just continue to romp their opponents. They obviously last week came close to really losing. Jalen Hurts and the defense. Jalen Hurts was great in the second half. He struggled a lot in that game. He struggled a lot in that game, but he was very clutch. They made the timely kick with Gabe Byrick to win the game. So I think that they fell behind. Their defense was great in the second half. That was good for our experience to show that, you can have a bad half and your defense could recover. So I think that was important for Oklahoma because if the defense is bad in the first half, typically for an Oklahoma team under Stoops, the defense would stay bad. So I think that was great to see that from Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma just needs to continue to win. They don't have a lot. They don't control the odds. You're sitting at 10 right now. You're way on the outside looking in. But depending on how the committee ranks them tonight, they can obviously go up. But I think Oklahoma doesn't control anything. Just continue to win. Continue to put your head down. Don't talk about the rankings. Just go out there and continue to handle your business and let the chips fall where they fall.
Utah at Arizona.
I think Utah wins. You don't have any hiccups. You want to play in a Pac-12 championship game coming soon, later down the line. Utah.
Minnesota at Indiana. No, at Minnesota at Northwestern.
Minnesota.
Michigan at Indiana.
Michigan.
Texas at Baylor.
Baylor.
Really? Interesting. Purdue at Wisconsin.
I think Wisconsin wins in a low-scoring game.
Boston College at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Illinois at Iowa.
I think Iowa wins.
Iowa's going back-to-back with two big wins. SMU at Navy.
I think Navy wins.
Oklahoma State at West Virginia Mountaineers.
This one's tough. I think West Virginia wins this one.
This is an interesting matchup. Pittsburgh at Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
And NFL, Colts at Texans, Thursday Night Football, AFC South showdown.
This one's tough because Jacoby Brissett and the Texans really I think the Texans are a lot closer to average than what people think. But in the AFC South, it's the most wide open conference, or even the AFC side of things. I think the East, of course, is going to be the Patriots. I think the West is still going to be the Chiefs. They had to win yesterday against the Chargers. So I think that is still a thing. So I think this is conference can go any way. This division can go any way. But I think the Colts are going to win. And I say it for two reasons. I think that their offensive line is really impressive. I think they'll run the ball a lot. I think that they'll try to get after the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. I think that they would make him try to make more plays. I think they'll try to keep him in the pocket, not let him use his legs. The Texans aren't really impressive. They don't have J.J. Watt. Their defense isn't thing. They're coming off the tough loss against the Ravens. It was a blowout. I mean, I didn't really expect it to be a blowout. Lamar Jackson's been really, really, really impressive. but I didn't expect a no-show like that from them. It was a chance for them to get home field. I think there was a lot on the line for them. They could have tied thing, and now they're the sixth seed in the playoffs. So I think I was really disappointed with the Texans last week from a competitive standpoint. I expected the game to be a little more closer. It was a blowout. Lamar Jackson's been really, 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 really good. But I feel like there was a lot on the line last week. There was a chance for them to get the 2 seed. Now you drop down to the 6 seed. Now you're talking about playing wildcard weekend. You still have an ample amount of opportunity, but now you don't have a tiebreaker against the Ravens. And quite frankly, you don't look as impressive as you did a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to roll with the Colts.
The Colts win on Thursday Night Football. Lamar Jackson, he's getting associated with MVP. I really do think he deserves it so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think him and Russell Wilson, it's neck and neck. I think a lot of people are throwing Dak Prescott in the conversation. I respect Dak Prescott, but his one quality win is against the Eagles. And if you look at a lot of his numbers, I think he's been really great and he's really, really improved a lot this year. But I think if you want to have him as a part of the extended picture, like the 5 or 6, you want to extend the list out, sure. But I think the main front runners for the MVP right now is Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. There's still a lot of time to be played, but those two people are neck and neck for it. And obviously I would do more breakdown as it gets closer. But I think right now, if you're thinking, I think you've got to give it to Russell Wilson if they win the division. If they're a wild card team, I don't know if you can give it to a wild card player because I think the NFC is tougher. I don't know if you'll give it to Russell Wilson if they go in as a wild card and if the 49ers win the division, because I think that Lamar Jackson, you got to give him credit. He won the division. Even though the NFC is tougher, I think you would have to give it to Lamar Jackson. But if Russell Wilson wins that division over the Niners defense, who's really, really impressive, I think you would have to give Russell Wilson the MVP, given that he's in a way more tougher conference. The NFC is lock and lock. The Vikings are 8-3. The Packers are 8-2. The 49ers are 9-1. The Saints are there.
Hold on.
Are we going on or what?
Hold on. Let me pull in. I can't pull in Caillou because Caillou was on the show. Can you stay put? Sorry, guys. Everyone, Victor came in, and I want to segue Caillou back in here. Caillou.
Bring them all on.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. Victor's on the show. Let's finish off. Yes, you're right. I think Russell Wilson is in the conversation. Of course, Lamar Jackson. I mean, everyone talks about Lamar Jackson. Dak Prescott, according to one of the comments, the reason why he's doing good is because of Amari Cooper. Do you agree with that?
I think, yes, I do agree with that. I think Amari Cooper definitely helped Dak Prescott. I think last year when they made the trade for Amari Cooper, I think that was really impressive. I think obviously having that trade, having more talent, I think that definitely helps. I think Zeke's struggled the last couple weeks, but a lot of people are concerned about Zeke struggling. I don't think it's a concern. I think it's a minor bump in the road for Zeke. I think he'll get back to doing good. I think he'll get back to his greatness. So I think he'll get back to playing well. But I think that they're definitely good. I think that having more talent definitely helps, especially when Zeke hasn't been playing that well.
And random question, Caillou, what's the most important man product, cologne, gel, razor, or deodorant?
Cologne and deodorant. I'm gonna go with both.
You can only choose one.
Deodorant.
Which they're winning 67%. Razor's winning by 33%. Cologne and gel has 0%. So, anyways, Caillou, what is the best way for people to reach you to talk to you about Lamar Jackson?
Hold on, is Caillou leaving?
Caillou is he's segueing out.
They can reach me on Twitter at Caillou Borden 12 and on Instagram at the same handle.
Unless Caillou wants to stick around with Victor.
Come on, bring it, man. Stick around.
I'll stick around. I don't have a problem.
Okay, no problem. Well, Victor, welcome to the Sportscast. Doubleheader edition. Victor?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Sportscast with Caillou and myself, Santiago Leon.
Welcome. I'm excited. We got I'm sorry, Caillou?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Caillou, I'm excited to have you on the phone with us.
Thank you.
We need an extra person there.
Caillou
Sure.
is from your neck of the woods as well. He's also from New York City.
Greenberg. He's like Max Greenberg. So we need some fire on this show. What do you think, baby?
I think we might have Justin come on. Okay, let's
Go call Justin in too. Come
Okay,
on,
let's do it.
let's
Why
get
not? We'll have like
We'll cast
we'll have a big
a
show.
panel.
All right. So then
Like
once
around the
we
horn.
get going, we should all like wear suits in the table and stuff.
Should we talk about who should be the MVP?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Caillou thinks is.
Hello.
Hey, Justin, welcome to the Sportscast, the big show,
Hey,
impromptu.
glad
big
to be
show.
a part of the big party. This is awesome.
Yes.
Oh, and you on? Oh man, that's good.
Yeah, Victor's never been part of the big show. Caillou has several times, and Justin, of course. So let's talk about.
Buyer beware, just so we know.
Now, Justin thinks Dak Prescott is good because of Amari Cooper, right?
I think a large part of his success is because of Amari Cooper. Let's just face it, he's one of the more elite receivers in the NFL right now, and he can make anybody look pretty good. I mean, Dak is really good, but he's really taking Dak's stats to the next level right now.
What do you think, Victor?
I just think you gotta. I'm not gonna take away I'm not gonna take away anything from Dak Prescott, but put him in order. Tell me the order. Is he better than Mahomes right now?
No.
Okay. Is he better than Rodgers right now?
No.
No,
Is he better than Lamar Jackson right now?
Definitely not him.
no, not at all.
Is he better than what's my boy from? What's my boy from Wilson?
Russell Wilson? Ooh. What do you think, Caillou?
No,
No way. No way. No way.
What do you think,
Russell's
Caillou?
in the league of.
No way is he better than Russell Wilson. No
So
way.
I'm talking. Look, I can keep going quarterbacks. I don't remember them all. I'm just saying to you, look at the order that my two brothers on the phone just agreed with.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much.
Eli?
He is in the top 10, right, Justin?
Is he better than Eli, Caillou?
Yes, he's better than Eli.
I would agree
Not your
too.
fault.
I just wanted to see what you'd say.
Is he better than Daniel Jones?
Yes, he is.
He is better than Daniel Jones, but I will say that Daniel Jones in the next couple of years, we'll see if Daniel Jones gets the turnovers. If he gets his turnovers out the way, Daniel Jones has a chance to be a really good player. If he corrects some of the fumbles, which his hand size is big enough to, and he learns how to protect the ball, I will say that Daniel Jones, if he could get those things straightened out, and the Giants could get him a receiver, and they could build around Saquon, and they could get a defense.
If they can get an offensive line.
Yeah. Yes, of course. They need an offensive line for the last 4 years.
Caillou,
They need Jesus too.
you're a Giants fan?
No, I'm actually a Packers fan, actually.
You're a Packers fan.
Oh, wow, like Tyler.
I'm a Giant fan, so I love everything you said. But that's a lot of things to get: a defense, a receiver.
So
Offensive
essentially
line?
a franchise. You need a team.
Can we, if we rebuild this team, they'll be great. Their defense is terrible.
Which they do have a running back, of course, and a quarterback, but they need some more pieces. Football is not a two-player sport like
Can
basketball.
Saquon play
But
Saquon Barkley play both ways?
He's better than Danny Diamond. So who else? With Justin, you're a little quiet over there.
So, Justin, who?
I'm just,
Who-
and I'm just listening to you guys, man. This is very entertaining.
We'll go with
Yeah.
Justin. Like right now, who are you? Like who are your MVP candidates?
My MVP candidate, well, first and foremost, it's Russell Wilson, man. I think he's heads and tails far and above everyone else right now. And like Caillou said earlier, he's playing a much tougher part of the conference. But I'm gonna be a homer though, and go for Lamar Jackson. He's my Ravens quarterback, and to be quite honest, I mean some crow because he's just shining like I never thought he would. And I'm one of those skeptics who said he was a running back playing quarterback, and he clearly has proven me wrong thus far. So I mean, no one's hotter than those two names right there.
How was he in college, Justin? Was he good like that?
Well, yeah, he was amazing in college, and of course, in the college level, you're able to do a lot of what you see him doing. But a lot of times it doesn't really translate over in the NFL, especially long term. So there was some skepticism on my part with him being drafted in the first round and coming to my team. But yeah, he was phenomenal in college.
Which the Dolphins passed
he was the Dolphins have passed on quite a lot, actually.
I personally think that this show shouldn't even mention the Dolphins until the end.
And so, Victor, who are your top MVP candidates in the NFL?
Wait, let Caillou go. He hasn't spoken yet.
Well, Caillou has mentioned it already. I think he's between Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson.
Let me think, because I just mentioned a lot of quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers playing phenomenal. I'll go with Russell Wilson. Only because not only because of his play, just because he's done it before. But it doesn't take away from Lamar Jackson or what he's doing. I used to love watching Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham, but Lamar seems to have that combination of those two players, and he'd rather throw first, which is even more important, right? It's just, I'm an old school guy, so I want to see it next year, right? I want to see it the year after. So if I have to shoot, I'm going to see an MVP player is a guy like Russell Wilson. Hey, that's my opinion.
Man, Victor, you brought back one of my favorite players of all time, Randall Cunningham. Love to hear his name mentioned in the show.
Last time he played was 2001, right?
Dude, he beat my Giants. He flipped over and scored.
Victor's our old school vintage NFL commentator here.
History.
I don't think Caillou remembers Randall Cunningham.
That's not fair, Kyle. No. I really appreciate that age reference.
Wait, you're 57?
That shit ain't right, man.
Wow, you just called him out on his age on our national media right here.
National media, you said, like, Vic, you're pretty smart, but you old as shit.
Hey, no cursing, Victor. That's what I told you.
It's a poop. You're old as poop. I apologize.
Little kids watch the show, by the way.
So little kids. Hey, little kids, let me tell you something. Number 2 only. And you should get 2 Hot Wheels for every number 2 and 1 for number 1. That helped my son.
Okay, so tonight the college football committee will decide the top 4. Caillou doesn't think Alabama's going to make the top 4. He thinks it's the same teams from last week. Victor, can you comment on who will be the top 4 tonight?
And I want to hear the youngsters first. So I want to know. Wait a second. I want to know what Caillou's 4 is and why Alabama won't get in. Is that okay, Caillou?
Yeah, sure. I don't think Alabama's deserving to get in. I think obviously LSU, you have to reward them. They played them head to head. I think Ohio State's the most complete team in college football, but I think LSU has the better resume right now. Clemson has to get in. They play a cupcake schedule, but they're undefeated. I think you can't have more than. I don't think you'll have more than one loss team in the top 4. And I think Georgia, you have to reward Georgia right now. I don't think that they're a lock. I still think that Oregon could still be in play for the 4. I give them an outside chance of getting that 4 tonight, but I think Georgia edges them at this point right now. And I don't think Bama's that impressive. They struggled against LSU. Mac Jones, Tua's really hurt. We don't really know much about Mac Jones other than he plays in blowout. I don't think that they would be impressive if they get in and play Joe Burrow, or Justin Fields, or Trevor Lawrence. So I don't think they would be impressive. So I think right now you would have to hold Bama on the outside looking in.
Justin, what do you think? Think Oregon might make the top 4?
That's some good points there.
First of all, if we get a second crack at Trevor Lawrence, you better believe Alabama's going to be ready. So don't discount them there. But as far as my top 4, I think it pretty much remains the same. Had Tua Tagovailoa not gotten hurt, I think you can make a valid argument for Alabama to be number 4 right now, just because they don't have that bad loss on their resume like Georgia does against South Carolina, who is steadily dropping. But I don't see much change at all. Alabama may drop a little bit just because a lot of people have lost faith in them, mainly because of Tua, and then also, too, the defense just isn't up to Saban's standard this year. And, let's be quite honest, if you put that defense against any of the top tier teams except maybe Clemson, they're going to have a tough time, hanging in there, especially against LSU again. Although you might have a little bit of the revenge factor, I just don't see that much growth and change in the defense between now and then. Even though Saban will have plenty of time to prepare, I think that we could stay in there with Clemson just because of the revenge factor, and it's been on our mind all year long. But the biggest question mark would be Mac Jones. How good can he be with it being his team and him running the show, him having that chemistry being formed with the receivers, with the backs? It's just a lot to really try to figure out in a span of a couple of games. But unfortunately, I think the Tide's going to be on the outside looking in right now, just because not a lot of believers in us because of what happened.
I love you, Justin. What's your top four?
My top four?
Damn, I gotta be Victor A. Arocho.
I think he just said like the same thing, obviously, but
I'll go over it again. I got to go LSU number one.
Okay.
No one has a more impressive resume at the moment. No one has more top 10 wins. Number two is Ohio State.
Okay, number
three. Three is Clemson. They haven't played anybody, but they're playing like a team on a mission, or they're playing like a team pissed off, and they're just beating the hell out of everybody.
They're showing up finally.
And then Georgia, finally, like, hey, welcome to college football, Clemson. But then number four is Georgia.
Yeah. Okay, so you're sticking to the same the standings now, right?
Yeah, same as last week.
Yeah,
same
for
order.
now, yeah.
I mean, there's some
But I
debate
feel like
that
there's gonna
LSU
be
might drop a little bit.
Let me ask you a question. You said something about you picked Russell Wilson, but you said you had to be a homer, so you picked Lamar Jackson.
Well, I said Russell Wilson right now is the guy, but my number two or 1B is my 1B is Lamar Jackson.
Well, your reason was because you were a homer, right?
I'm a Ravens fan.
All right, then you say you were a homer. Okay.
He's not from Baltimore.
No, he is
I'm not from Baltimore. No, I'm actually from Mississippi, and I'm an oddity here because everyone here is New Orleans Saints.
I get it. All right.
I like being different.
I'm going to tell you my picks. LSU, Clemson. I believe Georgia should be definitely in there. I don't think Alabama should be in there, but I haven't seen Ohio State play enough to see if they're that dominant. So if they're there, I guess they should be there. But that's my pick. I don't think Clemson should have dropped as far as they dropped, still being undefeated. Kind of bothers me a little bit. And then Alabama, I think, is great. Obviously, two getting hurt changes the game, but their defense, like Justin said, I mean, Justin, correct if I'm wrong, but it's not been the saving defense I've seen in the past. So I grew up with boxing, right? To beat the champ, you got to knock him out. You know what I mean? And if it's your time right now, it's your time. So, I love. I'm not an Alabama fan. I'm proud of what the SEC has done, but the one thing I loved about Alabama is their defense was crazy. They would score on you. It was disgusting. So anyhow, that's my vote. Right? I'm going to go again. LSU number one. I don't really care about the others. I'm just going to tell you the four. LSU definitely number one. I believe Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. I don't know Ohio State.
So who would be like number five? Would it be Oregon or Alabama? Caillou?
Oregon for me.
I think Oregon should get the number five. Mac Jones is fine. I think Oregon should definitely get that bump, and assuming they win out and they play in the Pac-12, I think Bama actually should slip to like 7 or 8. I think they should slip to like 7 or 8 towards. I think 7 or 8 is definitely the possibility.
Wow, you can't want to ruin your week, Justin. Mac Jones is the most popular backup quarterback. What do you think, Alabama?
Homer Justin.
All right, now. The unfortunate thing is the voters. The voters are actually going to be.
You got to speak real, man. Don't go with your heart.
Go with your mind.
What?
Go with you believe. Don't go with your heart, baby.
Okay. Well, first of all, unfortunately, the playoff committee voters are going to think along those same lines. And just to be honest with you, a lot of it has to do with Bama fatigue, and then having Tua Tagovailoa being out as the perfect excuse for them to push Alabama down. is now there, so they're going to lower Alabama. I mean, we may be completely surprised on Mac Jones. He may go off. He may have, a similar experience to what Cardell Jones did for Ohio State a few years back. We don't know. But right now, that Alabama is probably going to be at number 6 for me. Oregon's at number 5, just because they got everybody. They've had some impressive wins. They have a better resume right now. Now, if we beat Auburn, then we'll have something that Oregon doesn't have, and I would put my team over Oregon. One thing I am watching, and I'm a little apprehensive about Ohio State. At some point, I feel like they're going to pull an Ohio State and blow it against someone. So is it going to happen this weekend, or is it going to happen against Michigan?
Probably Penn State, because Michigan, they're playing at the Horseshoe, but who knows? Caillou, is Ohio State? I didn't
realize that Ohio State was that dominant to be that high.
Caillou, do you think Ohio State can choke?
I think Ohio State definitely. I think it's definitely a possibility. I think this week against Penn State, I think it's going to be this week. I don't think it's going to happen against Michigan. They're obviously very dominant against Michigan. I think if they choke, it's going to be against. I think it's going to be this week against Penn State if they possibly choke. If not, I think they will run the table.
Victor,
I got a response to actually everybody, but even Justin. He's still being a homer with Alabama. The deal is that we were going for number 5, so I'll take Oregon. You know what? The only reason is, from my perspective, from the SEC 1 and 2 from Alabama, you don't want to turn Alabama into Notre Dame. Like, no matter what Notre Dame did, at one time they were always ranked high. But if like an Oregon or one of those get in and they get crushed, you're going to realize the difference of who really is the best team that should have been in there. That's just my opinion.
Justin?
Right?
It happened before. It's happened before. You're absolutely right.
I mean, I'm just saying, to give you some credibility, because they're just going to constantly say something. And think about what you just said. Let's say Alabama was in the top 4. What conference?
SEC.
Exactly. The entire
almighty SEC.
That's my point. So
King of the mountain right now.
I'm not saying we get tired of it. I'm proud of it. I love the SEC. You know me. I like Georgia. But I'm just saying to you, it's like they don't give it enough. Like, just take it for granted, but they don't give them really enough respect. Those other teams are really good, but the SEC teams are tough.
Can Georgia beat LSU, Justin?
Yeah, that's very possible. The only question for me is, can Georgia generate enough offense to hang with LSU? Georgia's got a tremendous defense, but can they put points on the board?
Yeah, I agree.
Caillou?
I say no, because Fromm strikes me as a guy that's very inconsistent. I think their defense will better hang with them. But I think if you're going to eventually need Fromm to make that throw, and I just don't think he will make it. So I definitely think it would definitely be a close game, but I definitely would think LSU should be able to pull it out.
Victor?
No.
Isn't Burrows from LSU? Oh, he was talking about Fromm, right?
Yeah, Fromm is Georgia, and Joe Burrow plays for LSU. He's a quarterback.
Okay, yeah, and then I'm in agreement. I think that right now they're ranking Burrows as one of the top picks. With Tua getting injured, they're saying a lot of great things about Burrows.
Yeah,
like they were saying. Did you guys know?
Yeah, he's currently the number 1.
He's like the Dan Marino of today.
No, forget about number 1, brothers. You guys are too young. Remember, I'm the old guy.
That's okay, right. That's correct.
Right, so give your elders some respect.
I am.
Okay.
I'm an elder almost. Hey, I'm not too far.
Okay, well, just busting your chops. So what I was hearing is that they went to interview after a game or something. Burrows or one of the receivers. They got 2 top receivers, right? And they both responded, "I'll be right back. I got to throw." Burrows is calling us over. We got to do some out patterns. And then the other one came back, and the other one goes, "I got to go." And Burrow, that guy practices with his receivers all the time. And
no doubt.
In other words, I'm saying to you, those kind of things, for me, it's what I believe builds character, and both for the receiver who's respecting it, and both for the quarterback. So I only knew that because they were talking about the picks, but from my opinion, I think all 3 of them, may God bless them, and be superstars in the pros.
Justin?
Well, I definitely agree. Victor, you just brought up something that a lot of people hadn't really talked about, and that was just the amount of time that Joe Burrow and his receivers have spent together just perfecting their craft, working on their game, having that chip on their shoulder from last year and carrying it into the off season. And then with Coach O bringing in that, great offensive mind that's really developed everything, they've done everything they can to ascend to elite status. And that just means a lot, especially when it comes to drafting a guy who's possibly going to lead your franchise. And that's exactly what Joe Burrow is going to be called to do when he is drafted. He's going to be the guy, the face of that organization, and he's going to be expected to carry that organization back to a promised land. If it's Miami, God bless him. We'll pray for him. But I think that
don't say that on the brother, Justin. I love you to them. Do not wish that on that young brother.
He might be going to Cincinnati.
No, I don't. That's why I'm kind of glad that Tua stock dropped a little bit, so he wanted to go to Miami.
No, I don't care what S-Will.
No, what's going to happen is Tua's going to drop a little bit in the draft, and what's going to happen? Listen, I'm going to call this right now. Tua's going to drop a little bit in the draft, and what's going to happen is New Orleans is going to pick him up, and he's going to be the guy to take over when Drew Brees retires.
I don't know. That other kid was good, man.
Who? Herbert? No.
Rutledge or what's his name? Santiago, your host.
The backup of Drew Brees right now?
How about Tyler?
Bridgewater?
Bridgewater, right. That kid's good.
Yeah.
They lost to Brees. That kid is good, but you don't wish anything on the Dolphins, Justin. What's wrong with you?
I don't, man. I don't wish him on the Dolphins at all.
Hey, I prefer Joe Burrow over Justin Herbert right now.
Joe Burrow is good, man.
I think you need Chase Young.
That kind of commitment. To me, that's strong.
Caillou, who do you got to be the top quarterback for the NFL draft next year?
I still think it's gonna be Justin Herbert. I think they're still in love with size, even though we've seen with Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. But I think football is evolving, and I think that Joe Burrow, I think he should want to stay away from Miami Dolphins, just in the standpoint that the Miami Dolphins, although he might be great, he may never be able to overcome bad ownership, bad coaching, constant team turmoil. So I think he would definitely want to stay away from organizations like that, because no matter you see even with Haskins right now. I mean, obviously with the situation with his offensive line, he's asking him, what more can I do to help you? So even though you might be great, you're never more than the individual parts around you. And I just think it'll be a situation where, although it's great to be in the top 10, I think I'd rather fall and slip to go to organization with organizational stability, because you might be great, but your offensive line is going to be terrible and you're going to be getting beat up. You're not going to have no weapons. And even if you do, ownership is going to find a way in Miami to screw it up, because they haven't had a quarterback since Marino, so they're going to find a way to just screw it up.
This is too much hate the Dolphins.
I love you, Caillou. Wait a second. Who did you say should go in front of Burrows?
I think Herbert should go. I still think Herbert should
go.
Because
what school, son?
Oregon.
Let's guy. What school?
Oregon.
They're in love with size. So, I mean,
Herbert?
executives are still in love with size.
Herbert is a starting quarterback for the Oregon Ducks.
You gotta excuse me. I thought this was enough. Yeah, we're good. Herbert. I want to find out about Herbert.
Justin, who will go first, Herbert or Joe Burrow?
Right now, to be honest with you, it's going to be Joe Burrow. I think he is the guy that everybody's in love with right now, and for very good reason. And this, to be honest with you, when it comes to the NFL draft, it's all about flavor of the week. Who's the hot kid on the block, and right now that's Joe Burrow. But, those things that Victor was talking about, those extra hours of practice, those extra 1,000 hours of practice, plus this dude is just tough as nails, man. And this is a guy who can take any amount of pressure and just turn it into a good situation, and he's a tremendous leader. And right now, the Dolphins and whoever's going to be at that top spot at the time, they're going to desperately need that. Is it going to be the cure-all? By no means at all. They're going to have a whole lot of other things happen, to make the organization better. But having Joe Burrow go leading the way, I think puts them in a much better position. But, the organizational standpoint, they're going to have to fix a lot of crap and get rid of a lot of toxicity, do a lot of firing, and just bring in the right attitudes and the right mindset and some good players to boot.
Victor
Yeah, well,
Rocho. No.
that was a great point because that's why they were mentioning it's not just the other factors or skills. The fact that his receivers respected him enough to go practice with him showed leadership. Sometimes those rookies come in and they can't command the leadership in the huddle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
Sorry.
You said that, but they were saying that the receivers were legit. He commanded that team, so that's important as a quarterback, right? To command your huddle. So I think he's good. I like to learn more about Herbert. I don't know him, but I like Oregon anyway. So they're good. That's a good program. So if Caillou says he's good, he's got to be pretty good.
Caillou, what do you think about Joe Burrow?
I think Joe Burrow's definitely going to be in the conversation. Obviously, he's a flavor of the moment. I still think a lot can change with the scouting combine. I think a lot can change, but I still have Justin Herbert going number one. But I think I like Joe Burrow, but I think that there's still a while to go. And if I was Joe Burrow, I would want the right situation because even though all these things may be great with his leadership, you're not going to, when you go to a situation like that, similar to Dak Prescott, I think Dak Prescott got fortunate. When he went to the Cowboys, they were 4-12. Tony Romo got hurt. But he went to a team that was already established. You had a Zeke coming in. You had a billionaire owner in Jerry Jones, state-of-the-art facility. That was a prime situation for him, and I think he really got lucky. You had the best offensive line in football then, Zach Collins. You had Travis Fredericks. I think that definitely helped. So I think Joe Burrow, he might want to fall a little bit. Even though you want to be a top quarterback, I think he might want to fall to the right environment and right structure that's going to be conducive to his skills. Because if you go to Miami, even though you may be great, you may be a great leader, you're going to get there and you're going to realize you're going to do more. You might have better coaching than Ed Orgeron than you're going to have at the pro level. So I think it's a situation where you probably want to be careful with going to some of those bottom teams unless they're returning players that is going to be studs come back like with the Cowboys.
All right. I think we're answering two different questions there. One is who would be the number one pick as a quarterback, and two, whoever that is, pray that you don't go to the Dolphins. Am I missing something?
I think that's pretty much the note of the show.
Am I missing something?
I guess so.
No.
You're not.
I think we made a predominantly clear point.
So,
hey, Justin, am I missing something, Justin?
You got it all, man. You hit it around the head.
Yeah, exactly. So bottom line is we do not want the Dolphins to have the number one or whatever pick. Please keep winning. Now I want them to win.
Okay, so this past week, a sports betting website released the Heisman favorites, the college football Heisman favorites. They had Joe Burrow number one, then Justin Fields, then Jalen Hurts, then Jonathan Taylor out of nowhere, and Trevor Lawrence. Do you agree with this list, Justin?
Okay, we're going to me first. First of all, Jonathan Taylor's not out of nowhere because this kid has been solid, the entire time he's been at Wisconsin. And the fact that he's finally getting respect just because of default, basically meaning Tua Tagovailoa is out of the race, is just ridiculous. This is a guy who should be in the top three. Now, I think that Jalen Hurts should be ahead of Justin Fields. I've just seen a whole lot more production-wise from Jalen this year. And no one means more to his team, especially from a leadership standpoint, than Jalen Hurts. Justin Fields is good, but I don't see him producing what Jalen has been able to do. Now, Joe Burrow is the undisputed number one, and honestly, unless something unforeseen happens, I don't see anyone catching him.
Caillou, real quick, do you agree with this list? Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor, and Trevor Lawrence for Heisman.
I disagree with the list. I think that I would have Joe Burrow. Of course, he's been great. The win over Alabama was really impressive. I think Jalen Hurts, and I think he elevated his stock by coming back from 25 points, 28-3. I think he elevated his stock with the second half, 24 second half points against Baylor. Baylor had a lot of close. They could have lost a couple close games, but he elevated his stock that performance, 30-42. 4 touchdowns, winner interception. He actually played that great if you look at the first half. But the second half, he was terrific. 27 carries, 114 yards in that game. I think he elevated his stock with that performance. I would have him after Joe Burrow. And then if you want to go with Justin Fields at 3, that's fine. Jalen Hurts has been great this year. He's really improved as a passer under Lincoln Riley. So he has 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 92.8 quarterback rating, 3,039 passing yards. So I think I would definitely have Joe Burrow and then Jalen Hurts.
Let's go on to the NFL, guys. And what a weekend. I think the biggest game, the most high-profile game was the Ravens in Texas, 41-7. Not much going on.
Yes, sir.
Victor, what game impressed you this past weekend?
Oh, man. I'm trying to think. Actually, I can't tell. A lot of games were good, but the Patriots game, wasn't that it impressed me? They just didn't look that good.
No, Patriots didn't look good. Brady
so I'm thinking
says
the opposite way. They don't look good. Obviously, Baltimore looked good, but I'm glad that they're playing more consistent. Let's see. Kansas City came through like in the second half. Who else? The
Cowboys came through against the Lions, 35-27.
It's like we can get into Dak afterwards, but who did Philadelphia play?
Who?
Philadelphia played
Eagles played the Patriots, 17-10.
I'm trying to think who else was out there to play. I don't know. That was it. There was nothing, in my opinion, that was that great this weekend.
Well, I thought, Brady's comments about this past weekend about not having like the right options, not the right picks. Obviously, he's rumored to go to the Chargers next year, and I've been hearing that the quarterback for the Chargers might go as well. So it's
that's Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers. So like the storylines are starting to develop of Brady's next move, but if he wins a championship, maybe things could change. But Justin, do you think Brady might stay in New England after this year?
Well, I don't see why not. To be honest with you, why do you want to go to Chargers? He'll get hit a whole lot more there than he would have New England. But and we can't get his pretty jersey dirty. That's just can't have that. But to be honest with you, if they win another championship,
who's your NFL team?
What's that?
What's your team in the NFL?
The Baltimore Ravens, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did say that before. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's why you don't like Brady. All right, go
ahead. Victor, do you think the Brady like?
It's not that I don't like.
No, I didn't mean to cut him off. I just wanted. I forgot what his team was. Go ahead, talk about Brady. You think he'll go? Not go?
To be honest with you, if he goes anywhere, he's going to be going home if he wins another championship. I just don't feel like he has anything more to prove, and I just don't see why he would, what the value would be in him going elsewhere, especially if he goes to, the Chargers or wherever. I mean, what else does he have to do? I mean, and then two, he's about 74 right now, and if he takes any more hits, he might break his perfect smile and not be on any more part of the GQ.
You guys are like senior citizen haters, man.
I'm just trying to add some comedy to our show.
I'm just saying, Caillou dogged me. You didn't even remember the players, and you're telling me that Brady's old. I'm like ancient. I think I'm the Walking Dead.
Brady and I are the same age, Victor.
Yeah, but I'm older than that.
Way older. Caillou, Tom Brady.
What about Brady?
You think he'll be leaving the Patriots?
That's what I say.
I don't think that. I don't think that Brady should leave the Patriots. He has the perfect situation. Obviously, who gets credit is obviously takes a lot of precedent in it. But I don't think he should leave the Patriots. I mean, you have the easiest division in football. I mean, the Bills are 7-3, but the stat I'm looking at in their combined wins, the Bills' opponents are 13-47. So you have the easiest division. The Jets aren't doing any good, even though they've been stacking up wins of late. They still aren't any good. You have a bunch of teams taking your division. I just think it'll be foolish. I think it'll be foolish for him to leave the conference, leave the division. You have a bye. You've won 10 straight divisions. I think it'll be foolish for him to go anywhere. You have a great defense. You have Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches in the history of football, if not the greatest. You have an easy division. I don't even understand why it's a conversation, other than the fact of ego and maybe want to go home. I actually think that he might retire in New England, I think he will retire in New England, or he'll just retire. I don't think that he's going to go anywhere. I think it'd be foolish for him to go anywhere unless he personally wants to.
Well, guys, we got to wrap up the show. But anything else before we head into NFL game predictions?
Wait a second. We got 15 minutes. I didn't even say anything.
Well, go ahead, Victor.
All right, two things. One, you know, I can't tell if he's going to leave the Patriots, but if he leaves the Patriots and goes to the Chargers, I'm not saying that's a great move, but Phillip Rivers has put up a lot of numbers. And you don't put up numbers when you don't have an offense or you don't have a line or you don't have run. Think about it. What quarterback do you know? I think he's number 2 in the league, like in NFL history, like 50,000 yards. So if I was a quarterback and I feel like I'm better than Phillip Rivers, why wouldn't I want to go there?
Justin?
Well, he does bring up some very valid points, and I think that he probably would have better wide receiver talent. But my question is, what would be his goal? Why would he want to leave everything in New England and come play for the Chargers? And just call it, maybe for just one more year. What would be the point of it? Unless he just wants to stay in the game forever. I don't know. I just don't see him leaving New England. I think he retires a Patriot, and that's it, especially if he picks up another Lombardi trophy this year.
Caillou?
I agree. I think there's no point in him leaving New England other than the fact the ego and maybe what he wants. I think you won 10 straight divisions. Why would you want to play in the division with Patrick Mahomes, who's obviously won the MVP last year? Why would you want to invite that? The Raiders are actually decent because it's in the AFC. Why would you want to invite, when you only play Patrick Mahomes one time a year, why would you want to play him twice when you're playing easiest division in football? Why would you invite more pressure to yourself in that situation?
Well, the way I look at it, I don't mean to interrupt, but basically it'd be a similar situation as, when Joe Montana went to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
he was forced out. Timeout. Huge difference.
Well, I get that. But I'm just saying it's just going to be the same situation. I do remember that too. I'm just saying it's kind of similar in that he's going to be going to a team that really isn't going to ever quite, make it deep in the playoffs. They might occasionally make the playoffs, and they'll be decent, but they're never going to be Patriots level or elite level, and probably not going to contend for a Super Bowl. And like I said, he's not going to stick around for too much longer if he leaves the Patriots.
Yeah, and plus he's going to LA, specifically to maybe to seek a movie career in Hollywood. Of course, the similar path that LeBron James did this past, actually 2 years ago. So.
Stop. They gave us all the reasons. I brought it up. I'm going to end it here. Okay, the AFC West, the Chiefs are only 7-4. They're not playing that great. Gruden's a good coach, but they're not. It's David Carr, okay? What's his name? Rivers has taken them to the AFC playoffs before, so it's not like he's a rookie. He's still in the AFC, so he's played a lot of these teams regularly, besides the AFC East. Excellent points about how weak the NFC East is. Excellent points. Everything you brought up were excellent points. And for me, I was like, why would I want to leave either? You're like a statue over there. But, between Belichick and him, there's some ego there. Right? And from my perspective, he's in the NFC, he's in the AFC. The AFC, who's that strong besides Baltimore? The Bengals suck. The Browns suck. The Raiders are in between. Kansas City's tough. They're only 7-4 though, dude. It's not like they're killing it.
For me, the top teams in the AFC is the Patriots, the Ravens, and of course.
No, but I'm taking the Patriots out of it since Brady ain't there. I'm just saying to you.
After.
I'm just answering. I think they brought up a lot of good points, and it would be stupid. I don't think it's a great move, but I think there's egos there. You've been in, 8 or 9 Super Bowls, and nobody can tell whether it was Belichick or Brady? Right? So if you look at the AFC East, other than Mahomes, and he's 7-4, their defense is like up and down. The Raiders, you never know with the Raiders. And then it's the Chargers. And then who else? Ravens are good. The rest of them suck. The Colts and the Texans are the next two. and they're mediocre. Look, I want to answer the question that the three of us at least are on the same page. The Dolphins have sucked, and everyone keeps talking about it. Marino was on another team. He would have won the Super Bowl. How many times has Caillou have you heard that?
But I disagree with your point on that. Although the Chiefs are 7-4, they're also missed Patrick Mahomes for a couple of games. And if you look at football, it's 16 games. 37% of your games against the division. And if you play against Patrick Mahomes, you take those out. Part of New England success, granted or not, is that they get a bye every year. So if you get a bye, that's one less game on your schedule. And last year, the Chargers went 11-5, and the Patriots also went 11-5. But the Chargers had to play a Walker game, which also works to your disadvantage. If you're playing in a tougher division, you play that Walker game. New England doesn't get to scout for the extra week. So if he leaves the conference and you play Patrick Mahomes and he wins the division, all of a sudden the Patriots got to play in the Walker weekend. Not that they can't win that game. That's an extra game. And part of it is that they play one game in the AFC Championship game, and then you take your chance in the Super Bowl. So I don't think that it would be a great move and to necessarily count out the Chiefs, who's extended. Although their defense struggles, they missed Patrick Mahomes for a couple games. You don't want to face those weapons, especially, and Andy Reid, who's a brilliant play caller. You don't want to mess around with that.
No, good point. Okay, good point.
Anything else? Well,
Justin ain't saying no.
Yeah, I think I've made all the points I need to make about it, and
Patriots 15-minute.
And I'll just be glad when Brady's gone, and the Ravens take over the AFC and never look back.
No, the Browns will take over.
Take over what?
The AFC.
Where Freddie's gone.
Speaking about the Browns. How about Myles Garrett? Caillou, I mean, Myles Garrett obviously attacked Mason Rudolph with his helmet. He's obviously appealing that he's suspended indefinitely.
Appealing it?
What are your thoughts about that so far?
I think that Myles Garrett, it's a situation where we're lucky. I think there was certainly a lot of people were saying, well, Mason Rudolph attacked him. Well, I mean, there's just no other place to put it. And a lot of people are saying, well, Myles Garrett has good behavior. He hasn't done this before. But if he did this on the street, 8 seconds left, I don't blame Freddie Kitchens for the act, but the Browns were the most penalized team. And there's just no place. And people are saying, well, he didn't hit him with the crown and helmet. I think it should have been called for 6 games like he got. I think that he could have – I mean, this man, Myles Garrett, could have, in fact, he could have killed Mason Rudolph. I don't think it's a hyperbole that our brains aren't meant for that. And I think Mason Rudolph is wrong. I've never seen a quarterback go after and try to rip up opposing players' defensive thing. I think Marquise Pouncey, I in fact think, even though I don't condone violence, we all don't condone violence, he was just trying to protect his teammate. I think it was a situation where, I mean, maybe he went too far. I don't think he should have thrown 5 or 7 punches and a stomp. I think that was a bit much. But in that situation, you have a player on the field without his helmet. I think football is taking a lot of steps to, try to prevent injuries, especially to the quarterback. You can't even touch your quarterback now. I think that they're trying to protect the quarterback, protect players as much as possible. It was totally uncalled for. You want to kick the net, it's damage. You want to kick the net, you want to pounce the water cooler, but you can't lose your cool and take off a player's helmet and swing the helmet in his thing when he could have been knocked unconscious, and we could be talking about a different tune for Mason Rudolph. In fact, his football career, and not just his football career, we could be talking about this man dying.
Victor, what are your thoughts about Myles Garrett's behavior last Thursday?
I agree with everything that Caillou said. I just think that it should be it's a game of honor. Once a helmet comes off, it's just a game of honor. And I know you're pissed off at the moment, but also this is not Myles Garrett's first offense. He wants to be Defensive Player of the Year, and he's been called for other pieces. So he wants to be Defensive Player of the Year, which I can give him respect for, but he's taking that ambition too far. So his aggression is so high, he shouldn't, I agree with everything that Caillou said. The other thing is I don't believe that guy should have hit Mason while he was standing. I mean, that was kind of weak. That was weak. So I'm there. I'm with Caillou. I think that that's it. You got to look at the situation, your background, your history, and I know the game gets crazy, but it looked bad for his team. Even his teammates didn't want to defend him. It's a game of honor.
Justin?
Well, first of all, everybody is pointing fingers and placing blame here, placing blame there. Mason Rudolph started it. It doesn't matter who started. The fact is that it got escalated to a point to where the guy takes a weapon, a weapon, and then and tries to hurl it at somebody's head. It's just inexcusable. I mean, this isn't. WWE SmackDown. At the end of the day, people don't walk away. At the end of the match in WWE, they go back to the locker room and have a beer, and Vince McMahon pays them. This isn't that. That just it went to a whole nother level, and there's no excusing it. And people who are making excuses for Garrett, y'all should be banned from talking. It's just absolutely absurd. There's nothing. What's that?
Max Kellerman. Comparing it to boxing, Max Kellerman's huge into boxing, but couldn't disagree more. Of a guy that went to Columbia, that was a completely awful take by Max Kellerman.
Max Kellerman is a TV personality and a boxing commentator, co-host of ESPN talk show First Take with Stephen A. Smith.
And he propped you or Caillou is talking shit. Oh, sorry.
Hey, PG.
I'm sorry.
And
go ahead, Justin.
I'll make one more statement and I'll leave it alone because the whole thing just infuriates me. The fact that we're in a generation now that where Myles Garrett thinks that he should actually appeal the NFL's decision to suspend him. It's absolutely absurd.
It's quite comical.
This tells a lot. This tells a lot of the generation we're living in. Nobody needs to be held accountable for something, especially like that. That's just it's ridiculous, and he should get the fullest punishment possible. And everybody that got involved was wrong, but I'm sorry, a weapons involved and looked like he's in the middle of Game of Thrones, and that doesn't need to take place in NFL.
Myles Garrett graduated from Texas. Played in Texas A&M. Caillou, closing words on Myles Garrett.
I just hope that he goes away. I'm glad the suspension was also without pay because that also sends a message that I'm glad it was indefinite and it's also without pay because if a guy gets to get paid to basically sit on his fanny and do nothing, that would also send a bad message to me. And I think that I just hope that Freddie Kitchens takes his moment for him as a coach to, even though it wasn't his fault, they are the most penalized football team and thing. I like what Baker Mayfield said, but in fact, I didn't give him much credit because he was kind of had to, and people defended the Browns and their teammates for things. They didn't have any choice but to throw their team under the bus. It's not like they could condone that because Baker Mayfield wouldn't want that to happen to him. So it's not like that he can say that he could defend his teammates. He was forced to put in a situation where he had to go on the other side because it's the only right thing to do. So I just hope that Myles Garrett truly learns some of this, takes this time to self-reflect, have that man in the mirror moment, and self-reflect.
Well, there you have it. Let's get into game predictions, Victor. And we'll start off with the Colts and Texans. Caillou did pick the Colts. Who do you got?
Colts.
Justin.
Colts.
Raiders at Jets. Caillou.
The Jets have been hot recently, but Josh Jacobs might win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But so I'm going to actually go with Raiders in a low-scoring game at 1 o'clock. Even though West Coast teams don't typically play well out on the East Coast, I'm actually going to stay with the Raiders on this one.
Giants at the Bears, Victor.
Oh, shit. Bears. I'm a Giant fan, just so you guys know.
Justin, Giants at the Chicago Bears.
Question is, who sucks worse? I'm kidding. I think the Giants bounce back and take this one.
And Caillou.
This game is tough because both quarterbacks, Mr. Trubisky doesn't move the ball. Danny Jones fumbles the ball. I actually have this game at under 2 touchdowns offensively for both teams combined. I think it's going to be a slugged-out game, field goal game. I think it's going to be a thing. I think it's going to be a slug game. I'm going to go with the Bears. I say Caillou Mack and the defense forces, I would say, gives Mitsubishi decent field position, and they convert to field goals. Daniel Jones has a couple of turnovers. I'm going to go with the Bears.
Carolina Panthers at the Saints, Victor.
Saints.
Justin.
So I think the Saints take this one, and I think Drew Brees is going to have a big day.
Caillou.
Saints. The 49ers are 9-1. Green Bay is on your heels. You got an NFC thing. The Vikings are 8-3. It's a chance you're playing a backup quarterback. You're at home. You're in the Superdome. The crowd's gonna be loud. I think Drew Brees has a big day. Home field in the NFC is crazy. You got to keep active for home field in the NFC. I think the Saints definitely seize this opportunity because home field in the NFC is going to determine a lot.
Big NFC matchup. Seahawks at the Eagles, Victor.
Ooh, I'm taking my hot man Seahawks. Wilson's on a tear.
Riley.
No, I gotta go with Victor there. Seahawks are on a tear, and they're gonna take this one.
Caillou.
I'm gonna go with the Seahawks, even though the Eagles are tough in Lincoln Financial Field. Typically, Seattle playing on the road, those 1:00 games. Typically, that's at 10:00 Pacific time. But I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. Russell Wilson continues to roll. Like I said, home field. The Seahawks are 8-2. The Niners are 9-1. They had that big win over the Cardinals last weekend. That was big for home field because otherwise the Seattle would have actually been leading the division. The 49ers, that's a great season. They would have been in a wild card because they have the tiebreaker. So I think Seattle definitely wins. I think the Eagles actually have to win this game, but I'm going to pick Seattle. The Eagles, the only way for Eagles to get in the playoffs, just to let them know, you got to win the division because the wildcard teams each have 8 wins. There's only 5 weeks left in football. So if the Eagles want to make the playoffs, they're 1 game behind the Cowboys. They still play them head to head. They're going to have to win the division and not going to go to the playoffs. But I definitely have Seattle winning this game.
Victor, this is a big game. People don't think so, but I think so. Buccaneers at the Falcons.
Ooh. Remember when we were doing our earlier podcast, if our fans and our listeners go back, remember how disappointing I was on how poorly the Falcons have been playing? I mean, it didn't make any sense. They're on a roll right now. I'm going to go with the Falcons, man. I like Matty Ice. You got to be impressed. They've been playing great second half football.
Justin Riley.
Well, it seems like the Falcons have found themselves and are starting to want to play some football down there in Atlanta.
Julio Jones.
So, I think that I'll comment on him. I think Atlanta continues to steamroll, but it's going to be Calvin Ridley, not Julio Jones, who starts in this game.
Wow. And Caillou, who you got between the Bucs and the Falcons?
I think it's tough because the Buccaneers, I mean, it depends what type of Jameis Winston you get. Do you get good Jameis or you get 4 interception Jameis?
That's true.
I think the Falcons win this game. They're 3-7. I still think Dan Quinn's gonna be let go. I think they need a different personality. Their offense is still good. I think their defense or defensive coach supposed to be Dan Quinn, coming over from Seattle. I think he's really been struggling. They're playing for coach. They're at home. I think they continue to win. And I think Jameis Winston struggled this past week. I think you see more bad Jameis, more turnover-prone Jameis, and I definitely think the Falcons win this game.
Justin, will we see a bad Jameis Winston in this game?
That's the most consistent thing about him.
I need Caillou to give me the Powerball numbers. He's like, well, it depends on who shows up.
That's a good one. More AFC South. Go ahead, Justin.
I don't care much for Jameis Winston at all. I think he's completely a colossal dud when it came to being the number 1 pick, and I saw that coming a mile away. But I wasn't asked my opinion at the time of the draft. But, yeah, he's going to continue to play bad.
From Alabama himself as well. AFC South, more matchups. Jacksonville at Tennessee, Victor. Who you got? With the Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, my
Tannehill
God.
versus Nick Foles.
I hate those. I'll take Nick Foles.
Jacksonville. Justin Riley, who you got?
Man, I tell you what, Nick Foles is a stand-up guy. After watching that interview that he gave here recently, man, my respect level just went up tremendously. But I just think the Titans right now are playing on a whole nother level, and they're playing much better, believe it or not, under Ryan Tannehill. Who would have ever saw that coming? But I think that Derrick Henry is probably going to be the reason why they win this game. I think he's probably one of the better running backs of the league, and he's going to carry them to a victory.
Caillou, Borden, AFC South Showdown, Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans.
I'm going to go Titans, low-scoring, big game from Derrick Henry. The key is going to be simply for Ryan Tannehill not turning the ball over. Big day for Derrick Henry. I'm going over 125 rushing yards for him. Big day for him. Titans, ground and pound, and that's how we're going to win for the Titans.
Alabama players coming through. Dallas and New England, 4:25 p.m. game. Victor, who you got?
Pats.
Justin, Dak versus Brady, who you got?
I'm going to go with the upset, calling the Cowboys.
Wow. Caillou, do you agree with that?
I'm actually gonna stay with the Patriots. I think the Cowboys, their only signature win this year has been the Eagles. I think that Stephon Gilmore does a great job against Amari Cooper. I'll be watching that matchup. I'll also be watching their offensive line versus the Cowboys' front seven. But I definitely think the Patriots win at home. They're tough in that place, so I definitely think they'll win that game.
Old school quarterback versus new school quarterback.
The Dallas defense is terrible. That's what's killing them.
What, the franchise?
Their defense is not really holding up. So, it's in the NFC you got to hold that defense.
Old school quarterback versus new school quarterback. The Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers at Levi Stadium.
Who you asking?
You, Victor.
Shit, with Montana? With Montana?
No, with Garoppolo. Old school is Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, old school's Montana for me. Sorry, Caillou.
He does not know who that is.
You don't even know who that is either. Aaron Rodgers versus Garoppolo. Aaron Rodgers.
Wow. Justin Riley, who you got?
This has been one of the best shows I've been a part of. You got to throw that in there.
It's one of the longest shows, too.
I think our ratings are going up right now.
I got on at 6. An hour.
No, with Caillou is another half an hour. It's like an hour and a half.
I think we might have to get a sports talk radio show because of this. This is pretty epic.
Not for me.
But, I'm getting off topic here, but Aaron Rodgers, man, the Packers get it.
Caillou, who you got? Aaron Rodgers versus Garoppolo.
I'm going to go with my Packers. Aaron Rodgers is from California. It's really tough. I think this game is going to be really, really, really close. But I have the Packers winning this game. I think if the Packers tackles can hold up Bakhtiari against Nick Bosa, I think if their front seven can keep Aaron Rodgers protected, I expect Matt LaFleur to go to heavy running game. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be asked to make 4 to 5 throws over the course of the game. I actually have Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams having a big day. If the Packers can also limit the 49ers' explosive play, Green Bay has struggled against over 20-yard plays this year. So I'll be watching the tackles, Bakhtiari versus Nick Bosa. If Green Bay's running backs can be effective, Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, who's been really good for us this year. Those are the two things that I'll be watching for this game. But I have the Packers in a very, very close one, and this will determine a lot for the NFC standings. And also, even the North is also open with the Vikings at 8-3. They're right there.
And there you have it, guys. This is the big impromptu show of the Sportscast. We had Victor, Caillou, Borden first starting off. Victor coming in, Justin coming out of nowhere. We're just missing Tyler and Ryan.
Victor coming out. We had a 6 o'clock today.
We did have a 6 o'clock. I was going back to back, but I wanted to segue things in, and of course it became a big show. But you know something, Victor,
I gotta give props to my young brothers over there. They Caillou and Justin had you asked who's your pick? I just gave you my pick. Those brothers had stats. They had it good, man. Caillou we need Caillou on the screen and stuff so he can mark out, pieces on a show and stuff. Caillou, you're rocking it, bro. And Justin, you too, man. You brought some good stuff. So I learned, it was good. This was a good show for me.
We're all about stats, Victor. Except you. Our shows are not stats
I'm
driven.
I'm about stats when it's a close game. When it's a shitty team, I don't care. The Dolphins got 52 yards. Do you, Justin? Do you, Tyloo?
No, I care because, like, for my fantasy team, it's important for my fantasy team.
Ah, man, screw that crap, man. You don't want to know the Dolphins had 52 yards.
18-year-olds play fantasy as well. Oh, Victor, tell us a little bit about your Miracle Cream.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate it. I'm very focused on health and mind and well-being. I have a company called Mind Juice, gentlemen. It's really good for athletes, just anybody. It's Mind Juice CBD. There's a pain relief. And there's a foot cream pain relief, but I have really bad knees. In less than 20 minutes, it's a combination of like a BioFreeze Icy Hot with CBD. Fully, it's under compliance. It's third party. So Mind Juice CBD, and I can now walk downstairs.
And how can people know more about this product? And how can people reach you to talk to you about Randall Cunningham?
Or just go to my Facebook page, Mind Juice, and then there's a Q&A section. You could also go to Mind Juice CBD, and then I'm always on YouTube at Victor Orocho, VictorOrocho.com, AROCHO. And this was a great show with the Sportscast, and Tyloo and Justin, you guys were awesome.
And Justin, how can people reach you as well to talk about your 12-1 training business? And also talk about Julio Jones.
Well, you can reach me on Twitter and Instagram at 12-1training. That's the number 12, one spelled out, training. Also, too, I'm one of the main folks who help out run the Sportscast Twitter and Instagram, as well as LinkedIn page. So you can find me in any one of those avenues.
LinkedIn.com. That's the hottest social media platform with TikTok, the oddly couple. Caillou, how can people reach you? You're in school, so you have no business operating, as far as I know. But how can people reach you to talk to you about Myles Garrett?
What's that got to do with it? What kind of
is on Twitter at Caillou Borden 12. And
I'm sorry, Caillou, say that again. I cut you off. Say that again.
You're rude.
They can reach me on Instagram and Twitter at Caillou Borden 12.
Caillou Borden 12. Follow him, Victor. I don't think you follow him.
Spell Caillou, because I have no idea.
Yeah, it's Caillou. Caillou. Caillou.
Oh,
Borden, Borden 12.
Isn't there like a cartoon character like that?
I think so, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
All right, Caillou. Cool.
There you have it. Follow you guys, each other on Twitter. The Sportscast.
Follow you there, Santiago S. Leon.
Yeah,
Sportscast.
You can follow me at SLEON Leon, and of course, go on the Sportscast.net and on Twitter at the Sportscast.
At 6 o'clock.
Every Tuesday at 6 p.m. We'll talk about CBD, which is like the next thing since crack.
We're going to talk about
sports.
sports.
NFL and CBD. It's a great combination right there.
Hey, Tyloo and Justin, we'd like for you to join us again. Would you like to join us another time?
If time allows.
Yeah.
Justin?
Yeah, man, I'm all for it. This has been a phenomenal experience tonight.
Well,
I think we need more of this.
Well, we're planning to do more college football shows for the rest of the year. But next year, when the NBA happens, I think we will bring these two back together. I think it's a good combination.
They had fun. I didn't know a lot about college, but Tyloo, would you like to come back on?
Yeah, sure. I don't have problems. Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, sure. Definitely.
I mean, Victor knew about Joe Burrow, which is pretty surprising.
Well, dude, I know who. That's why I said there's too many conferences in football. And then Justin's a homer. He's only talking about Alabama. So, I mean,
Ravens.
Roll Tide.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's following the entire college unit.
Well, there you have it. We'll have Justin on again this week, tentatively. We'll have Tyler tomorrow to discuss the college football playoff poll, which comes out at any moment, actually. So maybe we might not be enough time to close it out. But anyways, any final words, guys? Real quick. Let's go with Victor. No.
Peace.
Yeah. Justin.
Peace.
What's that?
Any final words?
Hey, I will be contacting Victor to talk about Randall Cunningham.
Oh wait.
That's wrong. Tyler, I wasn't around. Caillou, I wasn't around when Babe Ruth was playing. Just so you know.
Hold on, guys. Random question of the day: what is
Something
the
about Caillou?
most important male product? Cologne, gel, razor, or deodorant? Let's go to Victor.
Don't start with me. I want to hear the young guys first.
Well, Caillou said deodorant early on. Justin, what's what's your answer? What's like the most important male product?
I gotta go with deodorant. I mean, that's the base of everything, man. That's the roots of the tree there, man. If you don't get that underarm taken care of, nothing else matters.
Victor Arocho, what's the most important male product? Cologne, gel, razor, or deodorant?
Cologne, razor, or deodorant, definitely.
Well, deodorant's winning 67%. Razor's winning by 33%. Gel's 0. Cologne 0. So for International Men's Day, the most important male product is the deodorant. It's a must-have. Necessary evil.
Where do you get these questions from, Santiago? They're pretty amazing.
I could say so many non-PG stuff with that kind of question. It's not fun.
We got a whole staff here at the Sportscast doing these research questions, and they find out that these are the best. So, anyways.
So you lock them in a room in your building until they come up with something good.
Hey, they have a whole department of that. They got 8 hours.
He feeds them once a week before the show.
Well, there you have it, guys. The sportscast.net. We'll have Tyler tomorrow. We'll have Justin possibly on Thursday. Friday, we'll hopefully have Jeff Farr talk some more NFL. So a lot of things going on in the world of sports. Stay tuned on ESPN right now. We'll see the top college football rankings and see where things are landing. We'll see where Alabama goes. But anyways, guys, I appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
Thank you, guys. Good night. God bless.